$1,000. This is not even including the sales I made on the in-person shop that I did for a pop-up. What's up, everybody? It's Daniel Shodonola here. I know it's been a while since my last video. I think it's been like 6 months since I made that last video. And to be honest, a lot has changed. A lot of you guys have been DMing me on Instagram and even like typing like in the comments and stuff on like my TikToks and my videos saying like, when's the next update gonna be? And I really do apologize for not keeping you updated. I know in the last video I said I was gonna be consistent, and honestly I really meant that. But with the amount of business, with like starting a new job, running a clothing brand, all at the same time, it was just a lot to like make content. But I think like, in order to put myself out there, it's very important that I continue making content for you guys and putting out that information and keeping you guys updated on my journey. Because at the end of the day, you guys are the reason why I'm here today. After God. So you guys remember my last video, I said that, when I moved to California, my journey was to make a business out of music and clothing. And music has been on the back burner for a little bit. I'm slowly getting back into that, but clothing has definitely took off since the last video. And I promise you guys, even behind the scenes, even though I haven't been making videos, I have been working. And yeah, so let's get right into it. How did I make $1,000 in under a week off of my clothing brand? Well, first things first, let me explain like the history of my clothing brand. So my clothing brand is called Asalarun, and it means the clothes of God in Yoruba, which because I'm Nigerian, that's where I'm from. And originally, I'm just giving you guys a quick rundown. It's actually used to be a reselling business. It still kind of is a reselling business. I still do reselling. I started reselling back in high school, and I did that for like 7 years. And then eventually, I wanted to actually start making my own products and my own clothes because my creativity in fashion, and it definitely increased, especially when I got to college and being surrounded by peers. You want to dress better, things like that. So it contributed to my creativity immersion into fashion. At first I was making one-on-one pieces, like if you go on my Instagram, you see like the one-on-one shorts, the flip pants that I made and things like that. And I was getting like sales off of those, but what made me want to go into actual like e-commerce and running an actual clothing line was NSBE, the National Society of Black Engineers. Now, some of you guys might be thinking, how did NSBE get you to actually start like your e-commerce clothing brand? And the reason was this because, as you know, I'm an engineer, I'm a software engineer, so that's the main reason why I was going to NSBE. But on top of that was, NSBE has a section for small business owners called Marketplace, where small business owners can come and sell their products at the actual convention. So, my entrepreneur business mindset, the first thing I'm thinking is, okay, well, I can get networking and career opportunities as an engineer, but I can also promote my clothing brand by selling stock. So, but at the time, like I said, this was mainly a one-on-one pieces and reselling. So it's kind of hard to make a bunch of one-on-one pieces to sell at Marketplace. And it's kind of like, you can't really resell at like a marketplace as like a small brand owner. You know what I mean? Like you can't just sell other products. You have to have like your own product. So I went into like a group and I asked like, what would you guys buy from clothing brand in the NSBE Marketplace? And I got a bunch of answers saying that like, the options were like, would you buy reselling stuff? Would you buy one-on-one pieces? Or would you want to buy someone's own product? And everyone said like they would want to buy a seller's own product. So I was like, okay, some way, shape, or form, I have to make my own product in order to make this happen. So the next thing I did was to actually start markup. So I started designing my own first hoodie, which is the first piece that Asalarun has ever sold, and the Dying to Self hoodies. And honestly, I'll say these hoodies was a big learning experience for me, but also one of the greatest blessings in my life, to be honest. This is like the first product I actually created on my own that people around the world have bought, enjoyed, and complimented me on, And yeah, making these hoodies was definitely a learning experience. And honestly, this is my first step into the e-commerce game, and it was one of the scariest, but one of the most biggest fruitful steps I've ever taken into this business in general. And it definitely learned a lot, but I also lost a lot. And I'm definitely gonna get to this throughout the duration of this video. But yeah, first of all, let's go run down how the drop actually went before I reached this goal of this milestone of reaching like $1,000, and how I did that. Well, first things first, my first Asalarun drop, as you guys know, like I just said, I made these clothes to sell at the Facebook Marketplace. At the NSBE Marketplace. Things went horribly wrong, pretty much, and the clothes didn't arrive in time. So I literally wasn't even able to sell them at the NSBE Marketplace. And I looked practically stupid just sitting there with no products and like my business cards to give out to people to buy it on my Instagram when they finally arrive and release. And on top of this, it's like in order to get there faster, I told my manufacturer to ship it to Atlanta where the convention is being held, so I can pick it up from there instead of shipping it to Austin where I was going to school at the time and then shipping it to Atlanta. And it still didn't arrive in time, so I had to pay for shipping to Atlanta And the girl who I shipped it to in Atlanta to ship it back to me, I had to pay for that. On top of that, it was just like a whole nightmare. But yeah, I ended up didn't even selling them at the Nesby Marketplace, which is what their initial intent was for. So I got back to Austin after the marketplace, and I have like 40 hoodies unsold that I need to get rid of, that I spent like $2,000 in bulk on, $2,000 plus in bulk on, that I need to find a way to sell. So I was pretty much forced to make like an online clothing business in order to sell these hoodies, even though that was my initial intent. But at the end of the day, I had to at least, my goal was to break even at least. And that's exactly what I did. You know, I sold this to friends, family, people in my circle, and I actually started my first website, started running Instagram, marketing, making reels. It was like a whole big overhaul that I was flashbacking with, but thankfully it was my senior year, so I had a lot of time on my hands as I was finishing classes and going off and graduating. But yeah, so for the first drop, it went pretty successful. I think I only had like 5 hoodies left after the drop, so I was able to sell majority of my inventory. But one thing I will say is that I don't think with this first drop I really got to taste or feel what e-commerce actually is. I mean, for the most part, I mostly sold to my family and friends. And if you run a business or a brand or whatever, you know that like family and friends buying your product aren't really considered actual customers, because at the end of the day, you don't know if they actually like your product or they're just buying it to support your small business. So I thought it was nice, selling to like a bunch of people in my circle, my family and friends and people who are supporting me. And I do thank them as much of that. I don't know if you guys are watching this video, but I do heavily thank you guys so much for investing in me. But when it comes to actually running an online e-commerce brand, a clothing brand, you don't really get a spiel of like, are you actually selling a product or actually successfully running a business? Because if you're just selling it to people in person that are just trying to support you, you're not getting a real feel of like, will this actually sell if you didn't know this person at all? If this person didn't know you at all, will they still buy your product? That's how you really know if like you have a winning product or not. So this first job went pretty well. And then a couple months passed by, just continued to focus, just going through life, going through my creative journey. And I was getting a lot of positive reactions. People were telling me this hoodie's amazing, the quality's top notch. My friends were telling me they're getting compliments in public. They go to work, people were asking, where'd you get these hoodies? So, all these positive responses, a lot of people were telling me to re-drop them because a lot of people said that they wanted to buy it the second time around. And so with that being said, I then moved on to my second drop and started manufacturing a second line. But this time I decided to make them a full set. So I made pants with the hoodies as well. And that's when we go into this time where I was able to make the $1,000 off of the clothing brand. So this time around, by the time I did the second job, I was living in California because of my job, so I didn't know anyone out here. So the whole problem I had before of not being able to tell if people were actually buying my product because they liked it or because our friends and family was not going to be a problem anymore because I'm not surrounded by anyone that I know. So now I get a really authentic feel of running an e-commerce brand, an online business, and marketing it appropriately. And boy, can I say, that was probably one of the most difficult things I had to go through. I mean, I had to learn how to do Instagram ads, learn how to do social media algorithm marketing, and just learning the algorithm and knowing what reels and TikToks to push in order to actually bring customers and like engagement and impressions from these social media platforms to my actual brand. And it was pretty difficult, but like I said, it was a big learning experience for me, and it definitely boosted my ability to learn and have a standing in this e-commerce game in general and the art of business to consumer selling. So first thing I did, I was going into the actual process of how I made such a successful initial drop. First thing I did was bring a following with engagement ads. So I forgot to say this, but I actually went through like a brand switch or rebranding. So the business used to be called Dynamic Key, but now it's called Aceleron, because just growing, adapting in general. So once I made this branding switch, I pretty much made a rebrand video and I ran engagement ads on it. So to build a following up, because at the time I think I only had 200 followers, so I wanted to build my following more. So I did that in order to build my following, and then I just ran a bunch of engagement ads to bring followers and people actually give to the product. And I was actually getting people want to buy the hoodies off those engagement ads, which was really good. And then after I did this, I started building an SMS email marketing website, marketing flow or campaign. This is something I didn't do the first time, and it kind of really hit my online business portion really hard, but I was able to make up for it because of the in-person sales that I was getting. But I know this time around, SMS email marketing was heavily important in order to get actual sales to my brand. So I made like my webpage a password, and you can only get the password if you sign up for the SMS and email. So it encourages people to go on day one, the website drops, and you are also able to alert them by getting their phone number and email to actually push your product to them to remind them to actually buy your product when it drops. And, this did numbers for me. I mean, I think I was able to hit at least $700 in sales based off the email and SMS marketing campaigns that I pushed when the clothing line actually dropped. And then the third thing was short form content. I mean, I was pushing out reels and TikToks at least 3 times a day for like a month in order to build that following and like just build more people to actually come to my brand and enjoy and buy the product potentially. And yeah, I'll say this is probably one of the hardest part. If like when it comes to running a business, everything else is pretty straightforward until it comes to the marketing. That's the part with like the most variables, the most roadblocks that you can run into as far as like not knowing what to do. And it's a lot of the times when most people quit, but I knew that consistency and dedication was one of the most important things. And as long as I was just editing videos, pushing out content, I was trying to get different forms of content, day in the lives, short form content, just like showing what my brand was doing and things of that nature. And yeah, it definitely paid off. I think I was able to go to like 200 to like 600 something followers in like a span of a couple of weeks, which might not be a lot to a lot of people, but in order to reach these type of numbers in sales with that little of a following, just so to prove how engaged like my audience was, even though with that little following that I had. And the last thing that I did was honestly ads. I would say for the most part, I think I got like 1 or 2 sales off of ads. I didn't really get that much. I think because like ads is something I'm still trying to learn day by day. And it's something that I still definitely need to focus on in order to actually be more optimized at it. And definitely something I'm going to try and utilize more heavily for the next go on, for the next drops. And yeah, that's pretty much how I got my $1,000 my first week. It was the email, SMS marketing, the social media marketing, and just building up hype for the brand through my Instagram and TikTok pages across all social media platforms. So when the website dropped, those email and SMS text messages went out. I think I got like 10 people to come to the sale at once. And it was honestly incredible. Just seeing, I don't know if you see those like videos of people just watching their Shopify numbers just go up as in lifetime. It's crazy. And yeah, the sales went up. And yeah, I also did another trick where not a trick necessarily, but like pretty much an incentive for people to actually go to the website. What I did was I said the first 4 orders are completely free. So if you are the first 4 people to order on the website, your order gets completely refunded. And again, this entices people to go on your website as early as possible and buy, so you can get those initial first week sales and also build just a rapport and brand image in general. And you also be able to build a review database and to people to know that you're the authentic and legit brand. So yeah, my next test moving forward with this, honestly, I do have a job plan for summertime, but in between that, I do want to hop back more into my creative aspect. I feel like, dropping these cities has been like amazing, and like, the money's been good too, but to be honest, I haven't really been able to create any like authentic one-of-one pieces since then, and that's kind of like why I got into fashion. So definitely going to go back to that for a little bit at least, and just like build more of my following through my one-on-one pieces, and then hopefully build up more hype for my next drop that I'm planning for summertime. And then I guess with all this, the reason why I'm making this video and what I want to value that I want to give to you guys is not only to give you guys a rundown of how I made this accomplishment, this milestone, but also to encourage you guys that, every day you live day by day, people are constantly in the rat race, jumping for the next thing to the other, never satisfied where they're at, but never want to take the change and actually change what they're doing in their life in order to become the best possible version of themselves. And I want to encourage you guys to wake up. That's the biggest thing I'll say. I know that seems very straightforward, and like some of you guys don't even know what that means, but when I say by wake up is not only physically, but figuratively. Some of you guys, people sleep like all day long. When you're asleep, someone that's up making money. And that goes for both ways, and once you come to that realization, you realize how much time that you have in this earth. You only have 24 hours. Everybody has the same 24 hours. Time is a bank account, and the day you spend is you spending it. And we're all on the same level at that point. So if you're not spending your money, your time the way you're supposed to, someone else is going to get to it before you. And figuratively, you need to wake up and get out of this rat race. Get out of this. I don't want to sound like a red pillar, but I'm being generally serious. This is what helped me the most. It's just like the mentality you have to have in order to become the best possible version of yourself and get to a place of higher standing that you want to be in life. You have to get out of this constant loop, this constant stuff. You have to break this cycle, whether it is waking up, doing the same thing every day, playing video games, not doing what you're supposed to do. Go to the gym, read a book, learn high income valuable skills that you can use and apply to your life in order to change your life and the people around you. So that's my call to action for you guys. Wake up.